Okay, so you can see, we've been able to get, thanks to Michael out there. Michael, thank you. Everybody make sure to thank our sponsor. Hopefully you guys can all hear me online, and I saw some cameras turn up before. I don't know if you guys online can hear. Do you want to turn your cameras on and wave to the crowd that's here? Cameras? Okay, that's okay. Hey, here we go. Yes, brave souls. Hey. That's awesome. All right, so this is the first time we're doing this, but Arturo and I had some practice. Arturo and I had some practice talking to Blockchain Sydney yesterday and the good folks there, and it was kind of like fly-by-wire. What do we say? What do we talk about this project that's still very early? But the beautiful thing about it is that everyone is still so early, right? And everyone is wanting to help out. So I was telling the guys the analogy that when you start off in any other kind of startup space, it feels so competitive, and you've got to have something really ready. Otherwise, people are going to steal it. You've got to have your customers locked up. It's not that way here. People are actually really helpful and want the community to do well for each other. And it's this non-overlap kind of idea where I want to see the mistakes and share the mistakes that I've made so that others can learn from it. But today, basically you can see on the left-hand side, sorry to make you strain your necks there, and you guys don't have it at home, but we're going to go through introductions and a bit of pre-meeting stuff, some announcements, why we are in this space that we're in, some highlights from around the Web3, around the room, whoever wants to speak, what they've been up to, and a bit of a roadmap for what comes next. So first of all, introductions. I am Captain DeFi, or Mark, that you guys might have seen online. And we got numbers here, and Randyrizea, Cat Dunn, Jaywalks. I'm not going to remember everyone's name, sorry. We'll get name tags for next time, actually. But I thought it's really cool for us to all get together for a couple of drinks, and there are drinks at the back, so please forgive me for forgetting everything but water, and also forgetting everything but beer and wine. Apparently people drink water and soft drinks as well, so not so sure about that. Basically we wanted to bring people together to do these monthly kind of meetups. I was a bit, I guess, kind of pushing for, ooh. Thanks for joining. If you can go on mute. Mute. We'll get there. Thanks for joining, guys, and more streaming online. Chris at the back, the wonderful Chris, who is a choreographer, videographer, demographer, I don't know, all of the above, has been helping us with a lot of the stuff that's going on. So first big announcement I actually wanted to make, and we'll do more intros, thank you, Chris. So first big announcement, the reason why we're here is because we are going to be doing a podcast. I think I might have mentioned that a couple of times. You can see Chris wearing the same shirt from the planning day. I think the same jeans, not the same shoes. Hey, perfect. Yeah. Okay. Oh, those are socks. I thought they were shoes. Sorry. I'm like, it's very colourful. Looks like Arturo's shoes. But anyway, we've been doing some planning. Come around. Cool. So the planning has been because what's happened is there's an exchange called Macari, and Macari are going to make a big announcement. They've already got a reference rate for Bitcoin and Ethereum. And the idea is going to be that there's going to be a podcast for wholesale investors that we're going to do that focuses on the basics, right? It's Bitcoin, Ethereum, stablecoins. Ethereum, as Arturo points out, has a lot of different tokens that are built on top of that. And so we're going to talk about the network there as well. But that's one podcast. That's really exciting. Even more exciting is that we're going to get to use this space and a couple of other places to do DeFi, Web3, NFT, all of the above kind of related podcasts. So start thinking about if you guys have projects that you're working on, or there are guests that you think that we should interview, or topics you think we should cover. NFT Sydney's here. Welcome. We want to bring the community together, have these awesome conversations, and let's start scheduling some stuff in. So Chris was helping us, as you can see there, with the whiteboards all over my wall. So luckily we had some people that were tall enough to take some of those down, because I would have struggled. But yeah, basically we're going to start doing this stuff. I don't know exactly when, but yesterday basically is how soon we want to do it. So that's the big announcement. And so this space here, I think Michael, we're calling it Crypto Hub Oz. We've got Mike there at the desk sitting behind you. So this space, a bit of background, is the former CNBC Sydney studios, basically, and that's why you see these fancy cameras up here. So that, I think maybe 20 years ago, people used to be 20 feet tall and they could reach these things. But apparently, like these lights here, they actually go across the rails, and so they would do it in different ways to whatever it was, wherever the desks kind of were. So we're kind of going through this plan of how we're going to do the podcast, maybe over there. I don't know if you guys have watched AusBiz before, but the way they've got it is like a couple, Nick's been on there, I've been on there, Arturo's had his first go, and we'll get more people on there. If you guys are doing cool projects, here's the thing, AusBiz is doing this thing called Cracking Crypto. So announcements. So the podcast we are working on, there's going to be more of that kind of stuff, and we definitely want people who are keen to get involved to come in and be part of this. And I wanted to say as well, what's been fascinating is that we've only been in this space numbers, and do I call you numbers or Arturo? It just feels weird. Okay, numbers. Okay. So letters over here. Is he and I kind of got into this space, bit of background. We got into this space, and hopefully you guys are still there online, in October. And I don't know where we're going to be in the next 3 months or whatever, but hopefully it is kind of moving fast. I think we got in at the right time. We got into a GameFi or play to earn kind of project that's going well, called Polemos, and they're building something with the Illuvium game. And from getting into and learning about this space, what's happened is that we have seen so many possibilities for how the world could be so much better. We announced yesterday at Blockchain Sydney, we've got this TradeFlows project, which is all about building real world impact with DeFi and DAOs and whatnot. And the fact that we've got this Oz DeFi Association, we just wanted to bring a few people together. I don't know if you guys were, some of you may not have been in on the early days, but some of the people here were. I said, no, we're not going to do it with Discord because Discord is way too complicated. And, we just wanted like a friendly way for people to get in. So we started a WhatsApp group with 20 people. And you'd leave and then you come back after a few hours, 250 messages at a time. It's like, okay, shit, people are excited about this. So we've got to do something better. So anyway, Discord, if anyone is, not even for DeFi, but I think anything like data or gaming or whatever, if you're building a community, it is so easy to just continue these conversations online. So Arturo and I run a data association with about 6,500 followers, but 0 engagement. And so we wanted to run a hackathon, and when we put out the call, we're going to do this hackathon in April, there's like 7 people that signed up. Why? Because we're not talking to them daily and all the time. We run an event, one-off, and then there's space in between. People have comments on LinkedIn posts, but they're not really engaged. Whereas with the Discord, you have all these people, and some of the people online, and I'm sure there's going to be some call in later, but you just get so much more kind of engagement there. So I guess the key is that I want people thinking about whatever is your area of expertise. We're not all fully Web3 yet. And for the folks that are fully Web3, I am jealous. Teach me your ways. What coins do I buy? But I think as more of us get more into Web3, or even like Web2, turning it on its head, instead of like building something and then prototyping and MVPing and getting it out to the community, start with the community first. connect with people who are actually there and that need these problems to be solved. And yeah, that's the key for us. So I just wanted to, bring everyone here, come and explore. And yeah, Arturo. Oh, sorry, numbers. Letters.
So enough about Mark. What do you guys think about Mark? How about we make this a little bit more interactive? We actually start polling and asking people what their actual interests are. And if you have any projects, if you have ideas that could be turned into projects, what are we talking about, right? Anybody? Go ahead.
Guys, I'm very bad in this, but this is awesome. Like, I got a beer, for some people that I don't know, but everyone is smiling. So such a good vibe. So 3 months ago, a friend came to me and said, like, there are like many people that wants to do their own things, but there is nothing about like NFT here in Sydney. So I'm here to like, introduce you to NFT Sydney, which is gonna be in April. And you guys are all invited. It's a community-driven platform. That's where we aim to. Probably the natural evolution is gonna be a DAO, but let's see. We grow organically. We don't accept any, kind of marketing or pushing from ambassador of fake projects. So, and yeah, I'm super happy to connect with like-minded. Has been awesome. It has been a journey. In like 2 months, we established great connection, great collaboration. Please go to nftsyd.io and check it out. We got already metaverse for artists to display things and things like that. And that's pretty much what I want to disclosure today. So keep in touch, stay tuned because there is like amazing things coming, 100%. Thank you.
Who's next? I'm going to start pointing fingers. There we go. All right.
Hey guys, sorry I was late. I did drive from Newcastle for this, so if I get some kudos. One mic, okay. See? Yeah. Cool studio, by the way. Oh, yeah, I walk past this all the time. I didn't even know it was a studio here. No, awesome. This has been kicked off. So kudos, Mark, and all the team. I've been in the Web 3.0 wormhole for what feels like my whole life. 12 months is what 25 years in DeFi, so I've taken particular interest in solving sort of more grassroots type problems. So two main areas that I've been looking at. One is sports. So sports is actually a really cool category for this space, perfect for NFTs. And a lot of people don't realize how many people would love to pursue their passions in sport, but don't do it because they don't have rich parents or they have to have a day job. And so there's a massive opportunity to fund rising sports talent and let them pursue their dreams. As one who never quite pursued his sporting dreams, I'm kind of like, feel like it's my way of staying connected to it, but remain really passionate about the space. And I think it translates well to art and basically anywhere where someone has something that they really want to do and shouldn't let capital get in the way. And the second area is farming and agriculture. So I think we're a great country for that for obvious reasons, and getting more connected to your food and to like what sustains us is a really important cause. And it's an area which is over collateralized. The banks are very dysfunctional. So this has got DeFi written all over it. And so I've got a couple of things brewing there, but one is more of like a direct farm financing project where you could fund a regenerative agriculture project or a use of land that's not currently being used as a carbon offset source. So we could all become little angel investors and micro investors in really cool farm projects. I just think that's a great use case. And also there's so many ripe territories for like how we could change the way that like things like livestock and the food supply gets tracked as well. So there's a couple of things that I'm nerding out on, but love to hear what you guys are working on too.
Cool. Hi everyone, nice to be here. My name's Jason Hardie from an organisation called Digital Village, and there's so I was lucky enough to be invited along here tonight. I'm not that familiar with this meetup, but so our colleague Chris and Steve, who you guys know as well, I'd say, and some other villagers here Luke and David. Anyway, so I'm really interested, and we at Digital Village are really interested in DAOs in general as a way of having kind of self-managed organisations. And we've been thinking about this for quite a while and trying to essentially introduce it to the way that we operate, because we're a network of people in the IT industry, and we've steered away from going and working for organisations or corporate structures to do our own thing. And so what we want to avoid is creating the same structure as we grow. And so we've been trying to create this over time, and we've also been experimenting with the metaverse and creating a 3D world, which Nick is familiar with, and thanks for your time at the workshop last year. But anyway, so that's something that I'm really, we're all quite interested in, is how can we work together as independent people for a collective greater good that benefits everyone in a very democratic way. And we're seeing a lot of DAOs around, as everyone has, of these different kind of formations of them. And there's a lot of challenges that come with it that I'm kind of interested in exploring, especially around like corporate governance and legalities and things like that. And there's a few different kind of loophole. Well, it's uncharted territories in terms of legals. So how do we navigate that, and how do you actually, incorporate a legitimate business while maintaining that democratic structure? So. So DAOs in general, super interested to hear about that. I was, looking at a white paper yesterday of a musician, an artist, and essentially creating his own DAO under his own name as a brand to kind of bypass the music industry and have people kind of invest in his. So I thought that was kind of an interesting concept. I'd be interested to hear what people think about that. And you mentioned something quite interesting around agriculture. We're really interested in that space as well. And Michael, an interesting future guest for here would probably, I'd suggest Rob Allen from Hedera, Hashgraph. They've got a really interesting technology called the Guardian framework, which essentially is quite, it's designed for sustainability initiatives, and we're working with them to focus on the agriculture sector, especially in terms of carbon credit creation or tokenization. And that's a super interesting space. So I'd love to hear more about that if anyone's into it as well.
Will you help me with them? Hi, everyone. Oh, that's loud. Hi, Crypto Karin from the group. Wasn't planning on speaking today, but shout out to Jordan, who's joined, Happy Spender, and Hardie Tax Stock for my TikTok fam. So my name's Karin. I have worked for the government for the last 8 to 10 years. It's a weird blur of time. Thank you. And I have been full-time crypto, NFT, DeFi, Web3, all of the acronyms for the last 4 months, which has been a whirlwind. And if you ask me what day or month it is, I don't know. That stopped mattering 4 months ago. I'm really happy to be here. This is my first real life event with people. It's been really nice to see people. I've been in my home learning crypto for the last 3 years. So this is very exciting. So I started creating content on the side of all of my, the day job and all of that stuff for the last 2 or so years. And then the lure of crypto got too strong and I just couldn't resist anymore and I resigned. So very exciting, I know. So my most recent position, I was an assistant director for the Office of the Australian Information Commissioner. So my background is privacy, security, legal, all of that stuff, which is really interesting. So I would audit big organizations and I would audit big companies and I would look at their governance systems and their governance systems or lack of systems. And that got me really excited for DAOs, because I learned about a DAO, and then so I've been doing content creation, and then I've moved into the consulting side of things, and I've been running as much as I can as a DAO with my small, select, amazing research team. So I'm really excited by DAOs and the potential of DAOs and what they can do. And there was a couple of names mentioned earlier, and just throwing some things out there because we're talking about ideas and what we can do, and let's get things down on paper and let's start yesterday kind of thing. And also thank you to Mark for the invite. I can't see where he is, but thank you. He's out there chatting, but that's fine. And just throwing some ideas out there now that I'm in this setting. Music in the metaverse, sports in the metaverse, dating in the metaverse. So stay tuned for some updates on all of the above.
No, that was a user error. Hi guys, my name is Kat Dunn. You might know me on Discord by such names as Kat Dunn. So I came into this space twice. The first time was in 2015. The second time was about 4 months ago. I came through it through traditional finance. So my background is corporate law, M&A, private equity, funds management. A little bit of time passed, and then I moved into SoFi. So microfinance, working with people who are underprivileged and asset poor, enabling them to get access to a different type of financial system. So I've been working in financial systems change for quite some time. And I find that Web3 is a really fascinating intersection of the collide between traditional capitalism and the possibility for decentralization to actually distribute power, financial and social resources to the many, not the few. And one example of this is the possibility of using blockchain for the SDGs. I think that there is a massive opportunity for us to align the Web3 projects that we have, which are inherently community-oriented, to the 17 SDGs. And one example of this is a project that I'm working with. They're global, but they're based out of the UK, called Angel Alliance, which interestingly we're on the same Discord for. So Angel Alliance is launching or minting NFTs with collectibles, the proceeds of which are going towards a fund that's funding women-led ventures. And then a portion of that mint will also go towards funding Vital Voices, which is amplifying the political voice of women doing amazing things around the world. That's aligned towards SDG 5, gender equality, SDG 5.5 in particular, which is developing the pipeline of women in management and leadership positions at all layers of government, community, and management of ventures. So I really think it's awesome that everybody is here, coming together, randomly coming up, and it's almost a bit like group therapy and confessing your interest into Web3. But yeah, one thing I would leave with you is to think about how you can really actively align your projects with the SDGs, because they naturally lend themselves to it. So hopefully somebody online is also willing to speak, because this is a hybrid event, but that's a bit about me.
Maybe we can go talk about TradeFlows. A few of you heard of that yesterday, but that follows pretty well up with what Kat was talking about. And it's a project that kind of grew out of us wanting to learn what to do with DeFi. So as Mark was saying, going to jump in to build tech and build analytics and so forth for a gaming guild. And in order to do that, we had to figure out what the hell we were doing. So, let's create a protocol, just as an idea, what it actually means, like conceptualize it, right? Yeah, 3 days later, after kind of going through that rabbit hole, we realized that it's not about the tech, it's really about that social impact and about what our ability as humans in collaborating could actually achieve, and how Web3 can help us achieve that level of collaboration. So basically the principle is to create like a collaboration layer that effectively is a token that allows people to act with incentives towards collaboration. So let's think of it this way. Mark and I are going to do a trade. It's not a block native chain. It's not a blockchain native trade, right? So we can't leverage off all of the niceties there. So in this case, when we're entering the trade, we're going to decide what it is that we're going to do. Before actually entering into that trade, we both would have to own a token that we stake. And staking that token effectively gives recourse towards the value of that token. And we would effectively be rating each other. We would be giving each other a collaborative score. It's almost like a credit score, but it's much more social. And it's actually not given to you by a third party. It's given to you by people that you're actually trading with, right? And if you get a good score, then the yield that you're generating by staking this token is going to be better than if you get a bad score. So you want people to like you, and you want people to feel that you're giving them a good service when they're trading, right? There's no real definition of what collaboration means in this case, and I think it's a good thing. It's up to the community. It's up to the people that are, within that context to set that definition. One of the outcomes there in terms of implementation, following up again on what Kat was saying, is that we found a partner in the Philippines that has an app. And this app is fascinating because it allows small farmers that own small plots of land to collaborate in terms of sharing information, very Web 2.0, but it works. Sharing information in terms of being able to aggregate their produce and then sell this produce to bigger buyers, right? It's changing their lives. It's a massive thing. Now, let's take that into Web 3.0, where we're not only talking about sharing information, we're talking about sharing ownership and transferring ownership. So, I mean, in old school terms, it's called a collaborative. So, effectively, what we're proposing here is creating a DAO that works as a collaborative, where the governance and the ability to transfer these rights is so much more liquid, just because of the technology. The tokenomics there are built so that you're effectively incentivizing people to collaborate and achieve better goals.
Before you talk about the tokenomics, people online, sorry, we've been struggling to try to get this presentation going, but I'll just have it in. Oh, I'm going to talk now. Okay, cool. But the thing is, you got to do the slides. Yeah. You don't get out of this work. Come on, mate. We did this yesterday. We applied with a lot more alcohol yesterday, so it was easier. Yeah, just like left, right, whatever. So Arturo was talking about the tokenomics. So, oh, go back. Yeah. Hey. So, just the text before the fancy graphics. If anyone needs fancy graphics, I'm here to mint these NFTs. The idea is that people pay, instead of just a normal transaction where there's like one side pays, the other side receives products or services, the idea is that we're actually going to have tokens as part of that. You need to stake these tokens. The reason for that is it's like incentive, it's collateral for the transaction. You then rate each other in terms of behavior. You have a historical kind of rating. There are DAOs that are doing this kind of stuff, and we got told about that yesterday, and we already knew about these things like Reputation DAO out of Mycelium and a few other things there. So it's interesting because we're going to have a different take where it's people that are rating each other rather than just the historical blockchain. We might bring that in. And I mean, Arturo and I come from a finance background, and we did these like mix of fundamentals and quantitative and some qualitative kind of analysis there. But the point is that all that DAO, all that staking goes into the treasury. Staking yields are based off these collaborative scores, and this is all about building these more collaborative economies where if people do bad things, they get rated in a negative way. So if you want to go to the next screen, I mean, there's a preview there on the side, but like, unfortunately, there's less wow factor because we're going to get this working. So yeah, here's a simple bilateral transaction, buyer and seller, meet for an exchange of goods, and then there's coins. And then once there is the transaction that's happened, they get yield. It was much better when it was animated, but like I said, the people online can't see this, unfortunately. So the yield that happens there, that's a good transaction. That's what we want. But when it goes poorly, the next one, Mario shrinks, just like in the real game, if he's done the naughty thing. But his yield goes to the insurance vault, which is going to fund financial loss. It's going to do some other things there. Luigi was the good person in this, and so he keeps his yield. And the next one is talking about the different rating systems that we'll have for this. So the idea is that there are these basically behaviors that get rated, every transaction, building better corporate citizens. There'll be some sort of scoring system for that. I couldn't find an actual, like, really cool, I had like 5 minutes left before I had to present, so I just chucked this on. But if anyone wants to help us with better visuals for this kind of stuff, if you can beat Mario, then yeah, we definitely want to hear from you. And so the next part was just all about how we're going to do this studio thing, and we're going to wanting to be talking to people about different things. The 3 couple of projects that we've got right now, the farming cooperative that Arturo talked about, we've talked to a couple of people that are doing this like survey and reliability data. So it's in the investment space as well as the startup space, but there's also there's a lot of survey companies out there that could be either they'll partner with us and want to do stuff together and drive that, or someone will come out and want to disrupt what they're doing, right? And then, we've made the announcement in the news that we're opening TradeFlows for business. And so what we're after, and this is what we said yesterday, and what was really interesting, right, was that normally when we do this sort of stuff, here's our project, and people will go, yeah, but what about this, what about this, what about this? And normally that's to poke holes in the project, right? Or even if it's not, even if it is constructive, it kind of feels that way. But in this space, when we were at Blockchain Sydney, just immediately, just from being part of that community, it felt like when people, spoke about different things, have you looked at this, have you looked at this? What happens if governments, close down crypto? What do you do? Not just us, but the rest of the group were going, well, here's what you can do, here's what you can do, and here's how it works. Super, super collaborative. So if anyone's got any kind of projects going on, the whole point is either going to these live events, talking with us online, just getting a whole group of people together. One of the things that I want to be able to do is to get, so there's meetup groups, NFT Sydney, Blockchain Sydney, all these other ones around Australia. But there's groups that are doing various different things, and what we want to do is bring all these groups together, not under our banner. It's not, some people are not interested in DeFi or whatever, that they're only interested in certain things. What we want to do is have everyone doing their own thing, but how do we just make everyone aware of this? When we started from scratch. It was really hard. So one of the things we've been trying to do is kind of aggregate all the kind of stuff that is going on in this space on our website. And I'm not going to try to put up the website. You can go to it on your mobile phones. We had enough trouble just figuring whatever that was. On the website, when you go to defi.org.au, there is a resources menu. And the drop down from the resources is like there's data. There's some, I can't remember if I called it safety tools or something else, but the data is all data analytics tools. There's Masari, there's June Analytics, which is really cool because you can build your own visuals. But you've got to learn SQL first, but that's okay. You can Google how to do some of this stuff. If anyone's into, little secret, when people try to build stuff, oftentimes they're just Googling, Arturo and I just learned how to Google really well. We don't really know how to build stuff.
That basically the schools can't catch up with the speed of the things that changing. So basically the ultimate goal is sharing these things to make these things happening and scale up faster and faster. That's it. Yeah.
So no, that's a very good. No, that's it, and that's a very good point. So building blocks. Right? So all of this is like building blocks. So you see all the DeFi, they call them primitives that people build things on top of. It's the same thing with data. It's the same thing in any kind of project. How can you utilize what's already been built out there? I don't know if I'm supposed to, yeah. I hear very high noises and then, okay, all right. It's like me and the dogs can hear it. So. Cat's my number one fan, did you know? Anyway, you caught that, right? Good.
Yeah, I just wanted to say something. I think it's really important that people that have ideas share them, because those ideas could be amazing ideas, but if you kind of hold on to them, very rarely do they actually turn into something, right? And the wonderful thing, as we were saying with Web3, is that, look, it's the same thing if you're doing it in Web2, but in Web3 it's so visible. No, you have to stay here because of that thing. The wonderful, you could go. The wonderful thing with Web3 is that you can actually see the progression of how these communities get built. and you actually understand that everybody is part of that community, and just by buying that token, you're supporting the community, or by actually just giving an idea. So $1 is a contribution, or one idea is a contribution, right? And especially when it came to the TradeFlows thing, like it was really, really out of our comfort zone, because we come from a space where you build up a product and you present it when you're like 99% done. We're not 99% done. Right? I don't think we're 1% done, because it's a really big fucking problem. So we really need to have the help in it. I think it's the same thing for every other project, to be honest. So just come out and share, and let's talk about it. And like there is a room here of individuals that I know have experience in bringing projects to fruition. And we're having many of these conversations with people that are very, very talented on the tech side, on the visual side, on the coding side, on the entire workflow to actually take that idea to a final project. So yeah, just come and just think it's a stupid idea, share it anyway, because it could be something. Okay, so Mark is telling me here that we need to do a little bit of a poll here. So we have two different names, and we are kind of wondering what you guys think of these names. So one name here is okay. So the idea is basically that we want to create let's call it a group of individuals that go out and work together to help others with Web3. It could either be traditional businesses or new existing projects that come out. And we've been battling with the naming convention here. One side says not centralized. The other side says House of DeFi. So, House of DeFi. Yeah? Okay. So let's see the hands here. Who votes for not centralized? Well, you come with something. Sorry? Okay, so lift your hand then. Hands for not centralized. Who likes that? Does it not centralized? House of DeFi. Not centralized. Okay. Sorry? No, not necessarily. It's Web3 projects. Whatever the definition is, we're figuring this thing out. I think it's Web3, but House of Web3 is that as cool as House of DeFi? Okay. Is that a bad thing? I'm still not getting hands, so not centralized. Okay. Okay. House of DeFi?
Hey, did we buy that domain? No. So speaking of domains, my favorite website is GoDaddy, and we have bought so many domains from them. It's ridiculous. We could. Yeah, it is. So it's kind of interesting that, so some of the naming kind of things, because what's happening overseas is we're hearing and we're seeing and listening to, say, Clubhouse or Twitter Spaces, and the trend is moving towards institutions just going, we need to put money into this space. We don't know what to do. Who do we talk to? And they tap Nick on the shoulder, and Nick goes, Mark, who do we talk? No, but Nick knows quite a few people. But it's interesting because I think it is becoming mainstream. There was all this talk, I remember before even jumping into this space, that it was wait until the institutions come in. Like all this talk of potentially, the industry is going to go away, it's going to die down. Institutions haven't made their money as much as they could yet. Do you think they're really going to leave money on the table and not do anything about this? Of course not. So they're going to make this kind of thing happen. Regulation's a big thing. So for the show, actually, let's just jump into that. So for the main Macari show, what we're looking at doing is going to have basically talk about the news, regulation, and there's a lot of regulation going on. Russia's banning it, Russia's okay with it, Russia's going to do this, Turkey's going to do that, whatever it is, we've got to talk about all that kind of stuff because it's important for other things that are going on. We're going to do some stuff with data. So, there's some data partners that we're looking at there. And then the other thing is that, we'll try to do something fun with some interviews as well. So Nick, you've already got a few people lined up, and we want to talk to other people that are institutional that, are going to do something there. But definitely on the other show, the DeFi show, we'll go through NFTs, we'll go through all sorts. So there's going to be a whole heap of different segments. And now that we've done this announcement, I can actually start talking to actually, we can get this off. Sorry. I don't think hang on. How do we? Someone, you want to hold the mic? All right. Hang on, guys. Sorry. Technical difficulties. Oh, that's you guys. Hang on. All right. Sorry. There we go. Okay. Cool. So, just wanted to find out if anyone online wants to talk. Is anyone who's there? I see a few people. Does anyone want to talk about Jordan? I can see you there. I'm not sure if you're. No? Okay. Does anyone else have any cool kind of projects that? Oh, jeez. Yeah, Harry. Yay! Let's get him up here. Tax time. Tax time. Tax time.
Don't worry, we'll talk everything except tax, because I'm really lucky and fortunate in this space, because I'm a free agent. I can work for everyone in this room on whatever it is that they're doing, because I don't have to have ideas. I just have to fix problems, and the problems are pretty big. But how do we set up a DAO so it can enter into a contract, so it can get a bank account, so it can actually protect the people who are investing in it, in a way where the institutions are happy to move in, because that's where we're going really, really quickly. So my background is I'm a tax lawyer. So there aren't many tax lawyers around. I believe there's 2 in Australia that specialise in Web3. I'm the only one in Sydney. And it's very good not to have much competition, I'll say that for sure. But it's about more than just the money. The money's great, but to actually get involved in these projects, help them out. I'm on a couple of projects as advisors, 2 projects, both Australian, one being Playable Games, that's just launched recently and raised more money than we expected. We're 3 months ahead of schedule. And then we've got to actually start doing stuff, unfortunately. And, launch pads on Solana, all sorts of other things come across my desk because people don't know where to go. And a big part about what Mark's talking about is people don't know where to go, institutions for sure, but even people with great ideas. And unfortunately, people with great ideas often don't have hundreds of thousands of dollars to spend on devs and lawyers and whatever. So they need that guidance to get started. And I've seen it time and time again. The money flows after that. That's why the community is so collaborative. We're not dealing with private equity and VC who need to see all sorts of things before they'll even get in bed with you. People will have a chat with you. I would rather someone call me up and say, hey, I don't know what to do. And I say, you need to budget for doing all this, that, and the other. You need to go set up in some tropical island. You need to go do this, that, so that they protect themselves. And that's in my best interest, because that means that I have less problems in my life later when they come speak to me. But we're all happy to give guidance. That's the thing. We're all happy to give guidance. Mark even bought me lunch today because, I told him a couple of nice things, and I'll do that again next time if he gets me more free lunch. Yeah, do it.
We might even host an event from there next time. So
we will. We'll book it out, and we'll all have bowls of ramen. There's no alcohol involved. Absolutely. Oh yeah, whiskey. Yeah. Good. But yeah, look, I'm always happy to chat because everyone has legal issues. NFTs have IP issues, copyright issues. Artists will sue people. People think they don't own what they buy. Tokens have their own issues. DAOs have just endless issues. Tax in Australia, we're basically flying blind. They're putting it together. I am ex-ATO. I used to work there. I'm now reformed. It took many years, but I'm reformed. Quick. I'm dobbing everyone in. I've got all your names. But there's so much uncertainty, and people talk about the XRP. Is it a security? It actually doesn't matter because there are thousands of people in this country who cannot pay the right amount of tax, put their head in the sand, going to have problems. There's projects that are creating tax problems for themselves every single day without knowing it. And we're waiting for government to fix that. We're hoping to get involved in that process. I'm personally involved in that process with government to help fix some of the regulation. It's a very slow process. And when we spoke to the Macquarie guys when they were here the other week, we get one shot at it. So Australia is on the verge of being the Silicon Valley of crypto. But yeah, this is it. Like we're this close. We are the most friendly country in the world towards it. If you look at the US, you know, yeah, it's very much, they're just not receptive. They can't even pay PayPass, you know. We're way ahead of our time in so many financial products. Australia is massively underrated. I'm not just looking at Australia, we're looking at all across the world to be leading all sorts of things. There are great projects coming out of this country, and we've got to do what we can to help government not stuff it up. Because they stuffed up the Silicon Valley VC reforms in 2005 to 2015. It didn't go as well as they hoped. It was okay, but if they do this well, we've got a massive industry on our hands, ladies and gentlemen. So looking forward to meeting all of you. I've met probably half of you so far, but I'll meet the rest of you, I'm sure, very soon. And I'm always happy to chat. You're going to have legal problems. So ask me earlier rather than later, and I'll tell you how screwed you are. So thank you.
And that's why we're going to dinner with you after this as well. Hey guys, for the few of you that don't know me, I'm Mike. I have been involved very kind of transactionally in terms of just investing in coins and stuff for 5 years, and decided to take the leap in sort of October into doing some stuff on my own when my travel tech startup that got rammed by the pandemic finally ran out of gas in July last year. So I just sort of tripped and fell into the play to earn space. You can actually see on the Discord there, the Rise, the RIZ, about halfway down. That's with the Phoenix. That's my play to earn guild. So we sort of that one. So we sort of tripped and fell into a game that's doing really well at the moment. I'm looking at ways to sort of, I guess, contribute to the development of the economies that work within play to earn. So how they're working at the moment, I don't know if anyone just heard of Axie Infinity. It kind of went up and then went straight back down, had a bit of another bump and then dropped off big time. And it's sort of because people are looking to try and figure out how they put value into the game that isn't just about the ROI of the game. So I'm really enjoying being a part of looking at that process for the game that I've invested in as a guild, and then just looking at different ways that I can use the guild and the community that I'm building through that in other cool ways. So a few things that I'm sort of thinking about doing at the moment. So for instance, I was talking to a couple of guys here before, speak to you about this actually. I'm looking at starting, I guess, a comic book or a manga where we use the characters and so the guild is called Rise. We've got this whole thing about it being the uprising and stuff, this post-apocalyptic world. It's like building a story out of that and then selling the pages or the frames of the manga or the comic book as NFTs and using that to fund the next episode and then the next episode and on and so forth. So, yes.
It would be good that you can change the scenario according to the NFT that you buy. Like you buy something and something else happens.
We were literally having this conversation before. Yeah, so
idea worth nothing, guys. It's all about execution. So I'm really dope, you know.
Yeah. No, it's I was thinking about how it could be a DAO, right? And so part of the DAO could be that if you own the NFTs, you vote on how the story goes, things like that, right? But I'm wondering if it's better if people don't know what happens next, because it's like, do you want a story that surprises you or that you? Yes. Go.
I've checked out projects and seen a lot of projects where if the holders get a say in what happens next, whether it's a vote or whatever, then now they have that connection, more of a connection. And it's or you can either hold a contest where it's pick a scenario and the top scenario that we think is great is going to be the one that happens next, and then people have that emotional connection and they hold longer.
Totally. So that's like something that I'm thinking about doing. There's other, like, there's ways you can do that to make it still surprising. It could be, you know, do you go to this planet or next planet for the next episode, and then they choose that planet, but then they don't know what happens. Like, there's so many different ways you can create a story around that, right? So looking at that from an entertainment perspective, because I've got obviously this growing guild and this growing community, and play to earn is so up and down at the moment. And while we figure out how to scale and like keep the economics of the game less ROI driven, I'm looking for a way to, I guess, create stability around the community I'm building with the guild. And then like more broadly, some sort of like ecosystem plays with that I'm thinking about, but don't really know. It's like one concept is like creating a DAO version of Twitch. So it's like the creators and the viewers actually own the platform that they're streaming or consuming from, things like that. And then more broadly also like very interested in like what Kat was talking about before, what Arturo and Mark are doing with sort of looking at what the world is going to look like in the future, you know, around like the Rifkin style thing, like creative, like collaborative commons, social commons. Like if we share things rather than own them, what does that look like as a world, and how can DAOs facilitate? So also what you were talking about, Jason, like just super interested in looking at that from a, I guess, a philosophical angle, and how we can create, like, use this technology to aid potentially like the creation of a better society. So that's pretty much me. I also do moonlight as a recruiter in the space. So if anyone's looking at sort of like working to get into the industry, I do work with a lot of organizations and can have a bit of a chat with you about what that might look like from your perspective, from like where you're at in your career and stuff like that. So can I buy Harry dinner? That's what I want to know. That's me. Cheers.
Ah, fantastic. We've got NFT Jimmy typing coming through, although okay. So they're saying online it's coming through a bit quiet. Chris online is saying it's coming through a little bit quiet. What do we need to do there? I don't know. Shout? Yeah. Yell. But I don't want to bust people's eardrums here. Mine are hurting already. Like I said, sensitive ears. I've got a few little things. Wait, we can type. I was definitely trying to... Oh, okay, hang on. Jordan, if you're online, I've been chatting in the general area, the general channel. So for people that are a bit familiar with like Discord, it's obviously got the different channels and stuff there. So yeah, anyway. So just a final couple of things, and what we're going to do, I'm going to do a quick little just wrap up, and then we're going to go drink, yeah? So couple of quick little housekeeping kind of things. We have a weekly newsletter, and like I said, I'm not going to bother. We're going to work it out for next time if we do something like this, how to properly screen share and stuff, because you can see it worked really well here before. But we've got an online newsletter. Online, oh, okay. Hopefully, la 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 la. Is that okay? Hopefully you guys can hear me. Rod, Todd, this is God. Is that okay? Hang on, is that someone online? Hang on, someone's online is like... Oh. Okay, that middle one. Great. Anyway, I'm going to continue, so hopefully we're not busting eardrums. We've got a weekly newsletter, so people are interested. Than anyone else. Like, people have already been contributing to it. The way it works, and maybe this isn't the best system, but each week people fill in an open Google Doc and they're adding things to it, basically in news, videos, and it's just like a sentence or two on what is actually there. And so far it's been, because it's on Wix, you have to like sign up to be a blog writer, and we give you permissions there. Cam and I have been ones to kind of publish stuff there, but I'd love to get other newsletters under other people's names. And then you officially become a contributor. I mean, you're all contributors already, but what it means is that you can go on LinkedIn, or you can just do it now. I really don't care. Go on LinkedIn and, add a role to yourself and say that you are a contributor to the Australian DeFi Association. Let's make this bigger, I'm very open to doing that. This is all inclusive. It's not like, I'm not going to name names, but I've seen things that are just weird, where it's like, we want to be the home of this Web3, DeFi or whatever, but we're only taking in 100 people. Yeah, well, I'm not naming names. So, yes, exactly. So wisdom of the crowds, and that's another topic I wanted to touch on, because wisdom of the crowd is really what this is all about. And the idea around a newsletter is just having a way for us to communicate with people of what's going on. And I was doing this in the traditional space. I used to do ETF analysis and then get on Ausbiz and do a weekly newsletter, and I only had like 600 subscribers, but they were pretty passionate when I said I'm going to take a break. So I've got to work that out. I just don't have the time, but I still do the monthly stuff. Anyway, so one thing's a newsletter, and then LinkedIn, feel free even now to either become a contributor to the newsletter or just add yourself on the LinkedIn. Look up Australian DeFi Association when you go on LinkedIn and add a role. Please feel free to do that. Let's make this bigger. Another thing I wanted to make mention of was 2 Google documents that we're going to start sharing and be more open with is something that I'm calling arguments against. And there's a lot of what they call FUD, and I forget what it stands for. Anyone? What's FUD stand for? You're all shouting at the same time. No, we know what it stands for. So FUD, all these arguments against. There was a great video on NFT. Oh, well, let's not whisper. Oh, who's that? Who is that? Oh, okay. Sorry, guys. Basically, there was an NFT video by a guy named Dan Olson, a Canadian filmmaker, and he did a lot of research into NFTs, and he had a lot of good arguments, but he tried to talk about DAOs and DeFi a little bit, and he had some missing things. The biggest argument I have against all of that is this space is really early. It's still being figured out, right? And, if people are going to disparage others, just it's not a nice thing to do. So people, someone, I can't remember, but yesterday at the Blockchain Sydney event, someone asked, how do you actually talk? How do you talk to people that are still trying to learn in this space? And I don't think you fight fire with fire. You fight fire with education. You fight fire with building things that showcase that there is a lot of value and utility. And it doesn't even have to be value or utility. NFTs can be a fashion statement. If everything was utility, we wouldn't have fashion brands out there, right? So all this kind of stuff. So that's one. Another thing I think we need to mention is that we're going to do this thing called a DeFi manifesto. If anyone here works in software, there is the Agile manifesto. See you later. And that is basically I don't know, it feels like a little bit of a religious kind of thing, but it is like principles for Agile. We're going to do something on principles for DeFi. We'll share that. We want feedback, and we want to actually turn it into something that we share with the public. And then we're going to do other events, wisdom of the crowds, yada, yada. Thank you all for being here. People online, thank you so much. Does anyone want to say anything online, or anyone in the crowd? Does anyone want to add anything, or are we very thirsty? Thirsty. Guys, we're getting thirsty here. I wanted to say thank you to everyone that has come here online and in person. And thanks to our sponsors and our hosts. Daniel, thank you very much. And that is it. Thank you.